All right, Act 3.
Act 3.
All right, let's move on to Act
this
3.
is...
You want to throw up a trailer there? Do we even have to watch that much of this movie? Let's just not even show the trailer.
I'm curious to see what the trailer was now.
This is my choice.
You know what? I could just leave. I could make my leave here now.
We're gonna talk about Southland Tales. Yeah. It's gonna be a good time. This is an excellent movie from the year of our Lord 2006 or 2007, I think. Sorry, I'm just pulling out my
10 years after Gattaca.
Yes, sir.
Starring is a relative term. Dwayne Johnson, Sean William Scott, and Michelle Gellar. Directed, though that's a relative term, by Richard Kelly.
Thank you so much for that. So I was just going to say, I just want to, before I play this trailer, I wanted to give these 3 reviews that I read. Sprawling, chaotic, stuffed to the gills with unexpected character actors and filled with apocalyptic mayhem, 2006's Southland Tales has a vision of where America was headed. An insanely ambitious fever dream of a science fiction political satire anti-fantasy that roars at you with unapologetic gusto, inflaming the senses with its rich tapestry of post-millennial visuals and skewering of the far right and the far left. Southland Tales is dizzyingly maximalist, never happy with one set piece, and it can introduce 5. It is unhinged and occasionally exhilarating and quite often funny. Southland Tales is our 3rd film for this episode of Hold Up.
No, it's not those things. I'm going to tell you why it's none of those things.
Tell you the story of the journey down the road.
I'm going to talk over this trailer about it.
This Justin Timberlake
this is basically what this movie looks like.
Voiceover.
Narration. I love it.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake narration's amazing.
I hated his character.
No, it was terrible. It was terrible.
It was probably my favorite Justin Timberlake
narration is usually bad.
These are the sort of
and the soundtrack for this movie slaps. I don't care what you guys say, the soundtrack for this movie slaps. Every song from front to back, amazing.
Los Angeles crime saga.
And you're researching your role.
Soundtracks.
It takes place in the near future.
I have no
best
issue
thing
with the
about the movie,
It's going to be
probably.
far more futuristic.
But like, it's not even a movie. It's not a
You
movie.
have to wear a bulletproof vest.
I love how Sarah Michelle Gellar delivers half of her lines.
This movie is such a weird time.
It's a fever dream.
I hate every line she delivers.
This character I didn't like.
Oh yeah, she was a stretch.
You're not really here.
John Lovitz.
The Centauros. The future is just like you imagine. Someone must be hiding it.
It's like the nervous breakdown of the century.
Nothing that
I gotta admit, when I first watched this film, I was so confused by it. Like I was like, "What did I just watch?" And
I'm with you.
I could only remember certain scenes, like the Justin Timberlake singing "The Killers," that whole scene, and like the end. That's all I could really remember. But rewatching this movie, I was like, "This is gonna be really bad. It's probably gonna be worse than I remember." It was actually way better than I remember. There's a lot of great gems. There's a lot of great gems in this moments in this film.
What a waste of Wallace Shawn.
This film,
It's a waste of the Grand Magus.
Kevin Smith was amazing in this film, and I had no idea who was in it the first time I watched it.
That's not what amazing means, Murphy. Just because they put him in a beard, that doesn't mean he had a great performance. Okay, cut this trailer off. I gotta talk about it. I can't hold it
smoking a bong like a boss.
So here's the thing.
All right, music by Moby.
Okay,
what a waste of Christopher Lambert. Oh my God. So here's the thing.
Christopher Lambert. There's such a great cast. Wait. Let's get into the cast.
Like,
come on.
Even when I was 12, which is who this movie is made for, like 12-year-olds or like adults with the capacity of a 12-year-old. It's an incel's fever dream. This is how an incel sees the world.
An
All women are sexualized. Women in this movie only exist to service or be abused by them in that regard. That's all women do in this movie. Other than Sherry.
What about the two women who are like the
that's
terrorists?
not true, and that happens to her too. She's just like forced upon by John Lovitz. Like
She's not forced upon by John Lovitz. Her and John Lovitz embrace each other because they know it's their last moment. They know it's the last moment.
Have you ever seen this actor say a line like this? Have you ever heard this actor say "cocks" before? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny of a joke? Do you want to tell that joke 50 more times in that movie? Hey, let's make that joke again.
We had John Lovitz. We had Amy Poehler, Wallace Shawn,
a bunch
Curtis
of cameos.
Armstrong.
Is not a movie.
It was amazing. Yes, Will Sasso.
It was a waste of every single one of them.
Do you know why?
If you removed all of those cameos and just made those lines said by actors you don't know, you would think this is the worst movie you've ever seen. Because it is the worst movie you've ever seen. It's just one full of cameos.
Richard Kelly consciously sought out actors that he felt had been pigeonholed and wanted to showcase their undiscovered talents. Okay? So, all right, we're going to get into the
Which he didn't. He just made them seem worse. Hey, let's. Anyone want to hear Sarah Michelle Gellar say "hard fucking"? That's the only reason I was watching this movie. Hey! You want to see John Lovitz play a serious, tough character instead of a flamboyant
you were
character?
Went into this film okay, Davan, you gotta.
Not clever. There's nothing clever
storytelling. We got to get
there's nothing clever here. There's no
hang
reason.
on.
No, hold on. I got to finish this rant. I got to finish this rant.
No, all right.
Okay.
All right, take it away. There's no plot. There is no plot or storytelling.
There is a plot. I'm about to tell you the plot.
Tell me, please, because I need this.
Synopsis. During a 3-day heat wave just before the huge 4th of July celebration in the year 2005, this is 2008, sorry. In the year 2008, an action star stricken with amnesia meets up with a porn star developing her own reality TV project and a policeman who holds the key to a vast conspiracy. On July 4th, 2005, in an alternate reality United States, 2 towns in Texas, El Paso and Abilene, were destroyed by twin nuclear attacks, killing thousands and triggering a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions, sending America into a state of chaos and hysteria, as well as a third world war, a fictionalized version of what the nation may have become under the War of Terror. With the U.S. government reintroducing the draft, the Patriot Act has extended authority onto a new agency known as U.S. Ident, which keeps consistent surveillance on citizens, even to the extent of censoring the internet and requiring fingerprints to access computers and bank accounts. In response to the recent fuel shortage in the wake of global warfare, the German company Tier designs a generator of inexhaustible energy, which is propelled by the perpetual motion of ocean currents. Our connecting theme through all 3 of these movies is oceans, called Fluid Karma. However, its inventor, Baron von Westphalen, and his associates are hiding the fact that the generators alter the ocean's currents and causes the Earth to slow its rotation, and that the transmission of fluid karma to portable receivers via quantum entanglement is ripping holes in the fabric of space and time. With the United States under the threat of nuclear attack and the lives of several people converge in a dystopian Los Angeles in near future 2008, Los Angeles, referred to as the Southland by locals, is a dystopian city on the brink of chaos, overshadowed by the growth of an underground neo-Marxist organization. The film follows the crisscross destinies of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Boxer Santoros, an action film actor stricken with amnesia, Sarah Michelle Gellar's Kristen Au, a psychic ex-porn star in the midst of creating a reality TV show called Now, and twin brothers Roland and Ronald Tavener, whose destinies become intertwined with that of all mankind. The final act of the film reveals that the amnesiacs of Tavener and Boxer Santoros were the ending results of test subjects of Tier's space-time rip caused by the fluid karma machine they built.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching this movie mostly confused, and then I was just like, this movie, I'm not stoned enough for this movie.
And uninterested, admit it.
Well, like I had to rewind a few times where something like crazy would happen, or I think it was interesting because I was crazy things. It was like, but I think it was like the guy who played Booger in Revenge of the Nerds. Remember, like he was just like, what do you do when you have a tear in the space-time continuum? we sent a bunch of monkeys into it. And I was like, this movie is out. Is just,
but you can't send monkeys to the space continuum because they don't have the soul to survive.
They don't have enough souls, and you're gonna have to get. I'm just like,
so they have to send a human being, and for them to send a human being, they decided to use a movie star. So they went with Boxer Santoros. But when they decided to drive Boxer Santoros, they had Ronald Taver drive him, and they were going to blow up the vehicle or something to that degree. This is where it gets muddled. Beiling's character named Serpentine, she's supposed to be like the snake in the Garden of Eden sort of characterization. She blows up the vehicle, causing them both to go through, killing the original version of Boxer Santoros, and the future version is currently living in the time of Los Angeles. He's like 60 minutes ahead of his previous version self, and the old version died, and the current version has amnesia, and he writes a script about all of these events and how the world ends. And he's trying to make that script happen, and then through this process of him trying to make that script happen, he actually like triggers the events of the final world. And it's like the first hour is this weird setup. The second hour is the second act, because it starts at chapter 4. There's like a 100-page comic book prior to all this. It starts at chapter 4, where you kind of get like associated with all the characters. The 5th chapter is like, this is the scenario. And then the 6th chapter is just like chaos and madness, and everything just starts like,
you shouldn't have to read a comic book to make a movie watchable.
I mean, there are tons of scenarios of movies where there's extra comic books, but that
can I rant about why their plot and storytelling are
Richard Kelly. Okay, give me 1 second. Richard Kelly was initially writing the comic book while filming this, and he has visions, and it was mentioned in 2021 that they want to expand this into a franchise, and there's possibilities that this is coming back.
No way. Like this is like something you should write as like a novel and then adapt into a movie, but like don't give it to the guy who wrote the book. Like you give it to somebody who knows how to make a movie. I feel like that this like you could maybe make something out of this, but
screen.
But it was just so weird, and
it's so terribly made.
Richard Kelly still considers this his proudest accomplishment, calling it his misunderstood.
It's painful to follow.
Do I misunderstand it? I don't know if I misunderstand it.
It's no, there's nothing to understand. There's nothing here. This is and they're not even good tasting calories. Okay.
Oh, this is a shame his internet connection is breaking him up right now.
Any of their Oh my god, is it really? No reason to care about any of the
I can only imagine what you are saying, but
in this movie. There's
see, clearly Davan doesn't have any arguments for this movie. He loved the movie, ladies and gentlemen. That's episode 3 of Hold Up. Davan loved Southland Tales.
So as bad as my connection
all time.
This is not a movie. It looks terrible. Everything is unappealing. It's like it's painful to watch this movie. It's not a movie.
Do you know that
it's just
when they were
cameos?
When Richard Kelly was at Cannes,
look what I can make this cameo actor say. Look what I can make this cameo actor say. Aren't I clever? It's like, no, you're a 12-year-old. Sorry, buddy, I don't know you. Terminal was good, but like this movie is trash. It's garbage.
Richard Kelly sold this film at Cannes it was like an hour and 38 runtime. I watched it, the Cannes cut, because that was off of archive, so I don't know if you guys watched that version. But he ultimately sold the film to Sony to cut some time so he could get an extra $1 million to put into the special effects.
Special effects.
Yes, there was $1 million put into the visual effects of this movie.
Nothing is worth anything. There's nothing.
The one where the guy gets hit by
the this sci-fi element into it, but that makes no sense. Are they telling a story of a dystopian like world where like it's not even dystopian really? It's basically just the U.S. as it is now.
No, it's 2022. Like it is a prophet of what's going on right now. It's hilarious.
It's not a dystopia. Well, unless America's
Los Angeles is a dystopia.
It's nothing. It's just
I don't know.
Like, and you say it's a spoof, but a spoof has to be funny. If this movie was outrageously
kind of there was
funny,
funny
you could
moments.
forgive all the how stupid it is. There was no funny moments. I didn't even smile.
This movie, to call it even dystopian, I feel like is slightly like mislabeled, because it's more of like a science fiction kind of metaphysical quandary, something or other. I don't even know what to make of this movie, really, but Dystopia was not really what I got. I feel like this movie is a product of its time. This movie is like very much mid 2000s. It's a George W. Bush era Iraqi kind of war, kind of like it's unfocused in a lot of ways, but it feels like it's from that time. I feel like what Davan was speaking about with the women are more like objective. I feel like that's just another product of that time. Like that decade was
it's very much a product of that time. Yeah. So like it's labeled as a 2006 American.
That's bad.
Comedy.
Make it a joke.
American dystopian comedy thriller film. That's what it's labeled as. The film is a portrait of Los Angeles and a satiric.
But it's not thrilling. It's not dystopian. It's not funny.
The film is a portrait of Los Angeles and a satiric commentary on the military-industrial complex and infotainment industry. So that was just like a big satire on all those things.
Look, there's at least 100 movies out there that have tackled these themes way better than this movie.
Yeah, I feel like because there was movies like was curious to pick, like Children of Men, and I was like, oh, I can't pick that one because I have to stay on this side of the 2000 line. And that's a good movie. That movie came out the same year
I would have probably
picked
Children of Men. See, I would have picked Children of Men. There's probably a ton of dystopian movies I would have picked, but because I had to watch The Tingler, I wanted
to. Except
he
was out for revenge.
This was a retaliatory movie pick, and
that's gonna happen in this podcast. I can tell that there's gonna be bad movie, and I'm like, all right, well, for one bad movie, here's another. But here's the thing, though, Southland Sales. I was like, this is probably one of the worst messes of movies.
Murphy's the vengeful one.
Rewatching it the second time, I actually really enjoyed this movie, and I was like, oh wow, there's actually some brilliance, like deep layered onion brilliance if you look past the gloss. And more so in hindsight, like 20-ish years after it was released, like comparing it to like today's modern society, it's kind of like hilarious how like on the nose he was, 15 years ago with where like society's at now in the same regards. I like the concept that he introduced Tesla's ocean perpetual energy machine. That was the first time I ever heard of this concept. When I was first introduced to the idea was through this movie. So I liked that idea and I was hoping to see more of that. The scene, hands down, and let's talk about the scene, which scenes hold up. For me, the best scene that holds up is the Cussy scene. Do you guys know what Cussy is?
No.
Okay, so in the Disney universe of cars, there are large cars and baby cars, which indicates that these cars fuck, which thus indicates that there is a car pussy, thus a Cussy. In this movie, you actually get to see a Cussy. They have a 3D animation where they show the power and these two trucks come alive like Transformers and start boning, and they say it's the European cut of the commercial, and I lost my shit because they showed it was brilliant. It was so fucking funny. I was like, I can't believe they just did that. That was 15 years ago. There's an internet meme about the Cussy, and the fact that this film showed that before the meme, like, wow.
So you like
the meta, the hilarious meta is amazing, and that's what this whole.
I think you have to be
the characters
plugged into internet culture as much as you are to enjoy this.
Guaranteed you, anybody of today that's plugged into the internet culture goes back and watches and references. They'll see how funny it is. They'll see how hilarious it is. How hilarious this film is.
No, it's
Sarah
not
Michelle.
Funny. They're just cameos.
It's so funny. We got Neil Marx's Highlander and Christopher Lambert, man. Come on.
Christopher Lambert.
He doesn't do anything. They just have him do the Raiden laugh. Like that. It's just cameo calories, and those calories are like what is like? Well, I don't know, something really bad, some kind of really bad.
You're just stomping on the American Indian orgy of freedom, sir. Which is an excellent line from the film.
No, I am not. You're just saying that because you're a pimp.
What was?
Yeah,
Why does a pimp doesn't commit suicide? What does that mean?
Pimps don't commit suicide. He doesn't commit suicide
because his life is good.
Pimps don't commit suicide.
That didn't make any sense to me. And like,
I thought it was a great line.
I was
because he's like surrounded in naked ladies. It's again objectifying women. Everything about this movie is that.
Well, like, except when that one gets John Larroquette.
It's just about guns and like muscles and objectifying ladies. That's why I say it's an incels.
No, you keep saying that. You keep trying to draw that point. You're so wrong on that.
I don't know if I necessarily took that away from it.
No.
I just took away that this was a very complicated, weird story that was hard to follow and didn't necessarily draw me in. Although some people were more charismatic than others, and I thought I would have gotten super weird with what we said monkeys into the terror. I was like, "Where's this movie? This movie should have been like this earlier. I should have been like more drawn into this weird,
more sci-fi. Like it,
yeah,
it was so just weirdly forced into it. The movie, that sci-fi plot. Like, this movie is very clumsy and just like it said, it's like somebody's on drugs who made this. Like,
I feel like what he was going for maybe
focus
was if you guys
ever
seen
this is not a crime. Keep an open mind.
Have you seen like From Dusk Till Dawn, right? Which starts off like as like this crime Tarantino-esque kind of thriller movie, and then it suddenly turns into like a weird vampire B movie. And I feel like this was kind of his version of that, where it's like it starts off as like sort of like this cameo bait sort of thing. Like it reminded me of Smoking Aces a lot, which was around the same time they made this movie, where you just like bring like you kind of like it's kind of like almost like let's get all these actors together and see if we can kind of make something fun. And I feel like this had mixed results. This had mixed results at best.
And The Rock is very wooden and bad in this. The Rock is
okay. There was one scene. Okay, the scene when he's in the car with Sean William Scott and he's got his glasses on. Those are circa era 2006 WWE The Rock glasses. He looked and was The Rock in that scene. The scene where like he's on the beach.
Yes, this is a cameo and reference movie. That's all.
Well, no, the scene where he's on the beach and he meets that like office lady, I forget her name at the moment, and she like pulls out the gun and she's like, "I want to suck your cock. I gotta suck your cock, or my life has no meaning. I need to do it right now.
That was such a bad scene.
It was a bad scene
I've ever seen in a movie.
I'll tell you why.
Worst scene I've ever seen.
I'll tell you why that scene.
Because they wanted to say cock again, Murphy, because it was written by a 4-year-old.
No,
this is the worst piece of garbage I have ever seen.
Shut the fuck up for 5 seconds. I'll tell you why that scene was in the movie. The why that scene was in the movie is because that was a staple Rock characteristic during the professional wrestling era. The Rock.
Yes, it's a reference
about women. Yes, it's a reference about him.
Because this movie is cameos and
Rock reference. Well, yeah,
it's just cameos and references for people that are like obsessed with like Twitter.
Because again,
there's nothing
Richard
here.
Kelly wrote this film so he could cast people he knew. There's some delicious morsels about
nothing about this movie and your explanations of it suggest a movie.
There's only one thing that held up for this entire movie for me, which was when Sherry O'Terry, who I thought was kind of like a fun zany character in the movie,
she was probably the best one. I agree.
And she said this world would have a lot less conflict if people just did more cardio. And I was like, that kind of rings. and that was it. That was like the only thing in the movie I was like, yeah, that's good. And that's, even Kevin Smith, I was like, I don't know, man. This is
I like
kind of Yoga Hoser's territory.
It's just cameos.
I did.
If there's any performances that hold up for you guys?
Yeah,
I agree with Dave. Sherry Terry was the best one, but
I thought Zelda Rubinstein should get a nod. She was killing it. It was like one of her last roles in movies. Zelda Rubinstein.
What was she?
Yeah. She was the little old lady that's
from like Poltergeist. Yeah, from Poltergeist.
Yeah. That was her third.
We have to get to Caroline immediately.
Mm-hmm. She's like in Star Trek and a bunch of stuff.
But she didn't do anything either. Nobody delivers any line worth delivering in this movie. It's
I've got some lines I wrote down. Cockchuggers 2, Cockchuggers 2.
Oh, they said cock again in this movie. I'm so surprised. That's
teen
such
horniness
witty.
is not a
That's
teen
genius.
horniness is not a crime. Keep an open mind. My favorite, actually, one of my favorite lines is, "It's an election year. Everyone pays." Because the whole like the guy running for mayor, he's gonna like pay out the what's her name, Marilyn? No, what's it? Moreau? What's that actress? Mandy Moore. So yeah, Mandy Moore's character, her daughter, he's gonna pay out like one thing, and then he's being blackmailed by Deep Throat 2 and stuff.
That's also not a good joke. Just because there was
and the pimps don't commit suicide line. I think that's a solid line.
Saying Deep Throat 2 is not a joke. That's not humor. That's not what humor is. Nothing in this movie is what humor is.
I think the line of American. I don't know, man. There were some funny lines. I think you went in with a biased, rose-colored glasses of shade of like, this is going to be the worst thing. I'm going to look at it terribly. I went in that thinking this is probably going to be a bad movie, worse than I remember. But I watched it. I was delightfully entertained, and I thought it was hilarious, and I loved every second. The setting and aesthetics.
No,
they could have been better.
It was 2.5 hours long. I tried to squeeze any nugget of enjoyment I could out of that 2.5 hours, and
I watched the 2 hour and 40-minute long one, and it flew by. It flew by. Like the
setting and aesthetic.
Settings.
I think it looked terrible.
Los Angeles.
It didn't look real.
There was
like
the summit. I don't know. I think
it looked like a video game. The CGI was worse than. The CGI was bad. I think it was probably purposely bad, but it's just unappealing.
It's not like there was a lot of CGI. It was 2006. It was mid 2006. It doesn't hold up entirely.
No, but those cars looked like they were from like 1986. Those cars that you mentioned earlier, that was like 1986.
The cars that had
like
sex?
Tron,
No, that was
original Tron.
They look more. No, they look more like they were Beast Wars, like YTV cartoon animation days, like Reboot and stuff. That's what the similar thing. So,
Please tell me you don't have any morsels about this movie, Murphy.
Well, hang on. Dave's got to tell us what his favorite performance was first.
I know. I'm speeding along because we hit 2 hours and we wanted to keep her at 2 hours.
Yeah, Sherry Terry's my favorite performance, but I'd say, like, aesthetically, this movie doesn't do much for me.
All right. Well, we'll get into the movie morsels for the beautiful and hilarious film Southland Tales. Don't listen to this curmudgeon. I'm telling you, it is a great watch. If you've never seen it, definitely check it out. So let's see.
I beg you, listeners, do not watch this movie. I beg you.
When the Prime Minister of Japan got his hand chopped off, he claims that it only should be the finger. Baron von Westphalen answers that he had probably missed the 6-inch deviation clause in his contract. The German dubbing of the movie obviously got confused about the U.S. customary units and translated 6 inches with 1.80 meters, which is actually 6 feet. So in Germany, they're like, 6 foot clause.
I didn't understand that.
They could have just cut it off.
What was the point?
It's because nothing makes sense in this movie. They just wanted to make a scene where they chopped the guy's hand off, so that's what they did. There's no reason
and
for
bronze on
a
plaque
and put it on a cheap wooden plaque. What were they trying to say? What was the nuance of this movie exactly? There's
no nuance here.
There are many references to the movie Kiss Me Deadly and the graphic novel Watchmen. At one point in the film, Sarah Michelle Gellar is wearing a trench coat similar to the female character in Kiss Me Deadly, and Boxer even drives the same car that Mickey Spillane drives in the film. Kiss Me Deadly is even shown on the TV early in the film and at the end of the film. There are many smiley faces with red marks on them. The red marks symbolize the Doomsday Clock and Watchmen in the dancing scenes with Justin.
What's the Watchmen reference? But I didn't see that. So.
Yeah. In Boxer's screenplay about the end of the world, his character's name, Jericho Kane, is also the name of Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in End of Days in 1999.
I mentioned that last episode too, that movie.
The police cruisers in the film have a Latin quote, "Ordente dum mutante," inscribed on them. It was a famous saying of Roman Emperor Caligula, "Let them hate so long as they fear."
Caligula means little goat.
Ah, interesting. I didn't know
You didn't call him that to his face. That's what people called him when he wasn't around.
The fluid karma energy system bears a striking resemblance in principle to plans drawn up by Nikola Tesla, never fully realized. In the animated Kusi sequence, the mirror reads, it really is as big as it appears.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Sarah Michelle Gellar sang the song Teen Horniness is Not a Crime with the help from Abby McBride, Clark Kent, and Greasy Beats.
Yeah, they just throw music videos into this.
Yeah, there's like music, like
and they're not even good music videos. I don't want to see a Justin Timberlake music video in a movie or elsewhere.
I was like, what is
everything's so bad?
It's satire.
It's satire, but at the end he was like, John Williams, Scott was my best friend, and I was like, what? Like, what are you? What?
It doesn't satire anything. It doesn't spoof anything because it's not funny.
The Doomsday Scenario interface in the beginning of the movie resembles the TV interface in Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers in '97. Verhoeven's next film after Troopers was to be Hollow Man, a title pretty close to T.S. Eliot's poem The Hollow Man, from where Justin Timberlake's lines, "This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper." With the last line of verse, so it reads, "Not with a whimper, but with a bang." When casting the film, Richard Kelly sought Artie Lang for the role of Fortino Balducci, Will Sasso's character, but Lang was unable to play the part due to commitments to the Howard Stern show. Kelly also contacted Rick Moranis regarding the role of Von Smallhouse.
He's too good for this movie. How dare you even bring up Rick Moranis' name here?
Rick Moranis was going to be offered the role of John Larroquette's role.
He was not going to accept and like the Will Sasso part, the part that is just sitting on a chair. He had to sit on a chair for a minute. But look, it's Will Sasso. It's a cameo. Isn't that a funny joke? Is that a funny joke?
Other scenes. And while Rick Moranis, they had a long and pleasant telephone conversation. Moranis was ultimately unwilling to step out of retirement for the part of For the part of Walter Mung,
because it's not a part.
For the part of Walter Mung, Christopher Lambert, Kelly contacted Oliver Stone, for whom he had interned years before. Although Stone was apparently tempted, he politely declined. Kelly has said that he was very happy with the actors he had eventually cast and with their respective performances. I touched upon this earlier.
I could smell the bullshit in that sentence. Apparently tempted? No, there was no temptation there.
In addition to the feature film, an expanded version of Southland Tales will be presented as a 6-part interactive experience with the prequel saga to be published as 3 separate 90 to 130-page graphic novels, each written by Kelly. The graphic novels will be released over a 6-month period early in 2007, leading up to the film's release, with the feature film comprised of the story's final 3 chapters. In addition, the film's official website will be one of the largest and most elaborate ever designed for a feature film.
It's just like his Avatar or something.
Richard Kelly describes the graphic novel.
How to waste money.
Richard Kelly describes the graphic novel as working in tandem with the website, creating a more epic multimedia experience for those interested in taking the plunge. There are 3 chapters.
God, even the morsels from Murphy are pointless and boring about this movie. Sorry, Murphy. This movie.
I'm wrapping these up. We're on our final few. There are 3 chapters in the movie, each sharing its name with a song by an alternative music artist. Temptation Waits is a song by Garbage. Memory Gospel is a song by Moby, who also composed the film's score, even though he normally doesn't do that, but he was so honored to be asked by Richard Kelly. He's like, I want to compose the score. And Wave of Mutilation is a song by the Pixies. Richard Kelly said the film's biggest influence are Kiss Me Deadly, Pulp Fiction, Brazil, and Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Well, we're going to feature Dr. Strangelove on this show. I picked it for one of the episodes. That's coming up.
This movie makes me like
nothing like Dr. Strangelove.
This movie makes me like Donnie Darko even less.
I don't like Donnie Darko either.
I have a chip on my shoulder with Donnie Darko. Though.
Final morsels.
These are a good movie.
I swear. Christopher Lambert is once again in a plot about a futuristic corporation that devises a planetary energy shield with undesirable side effects. The first Highlander to The Quickening. Wallace Shawn. Okay, and these are going to be probably your favorite, Davan. Wallace Shawn told film critic Nathan Robin he did not understand the film after initially reading the screenplay, but signed on as he was impressed by Richard Kelly and flattered that the part was written specifically for him. Ultimately, he said that he still found the film mostly incomprehensible after 3 viewings, but he liked it very much. In a 2011 interview, Justin Timberlake himself confessed, "To me, Southland Tales is a performance art. I still don't know what the movie is about." And last but not least, I think the most apropos movie morsel for this film. The translation for the film title in Mexico was Las Horas Perdidas, The Lost Hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's like, that kind of sums up the whole thing. Because that's how you'll feel at the end of this movie. Lost hours.
No, I'll never get this. I'll never get those hours back. I should have spent those hours with butter into myself. Anyway.
No.
Rewatchability. Answer no.
Yes.
No one.
Yes.
Don't. I'm gonna remove the RE. Don't even watch this movie. Don't even watch it.
If you rewatch this movie, you'll see the true
Murphy,
gems
take
in it.
the
true gems
in
it.
front of your screen so you can actually.
I swear to God, I thought this movie was going to be terrible.
No. Big no.
No, of course not. Of course not. Because you have sense.
I might watch that scene again where he's like, we send the monkeys in. That's the only thing I feel like I will ever come back to for whatever reason. But
look, Dave's there for a monkey. If there's monkeys...
if you're sending monkeys into another dimension, I'm in for it. But that's beyond that. No, this movie, no good. And the Sherry O'Terry with the
does it hold up? The answer is also no. It's measure up.
Yes,
we should say
it does hold up.
No, measure up. It does not measure up to anything other than like really old garbage. Like when garbage has been sit outside for a week, it's been fucked with by raccoons. They've probably pissed on it a few times. That's what you have here. Raccoon pissed garbage.
I'll agree. It doesn't measure up.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not even for its time. It's very bizarre. But it was trying some experimental things. The fact that he wants to keep it going is the most strange, crazy thing.
The
I
fact
feel like this is just that
apparently he's getting to keep it going.
Yeah, he gets to keep it. Well, you want to make Donnie Darko 2. I think maybe that's a better way to go, man. But no,
that's not a good way to go.
I think he might have done that. I think he actually did make a Donnie Darko 2. But yeah, apparently, it very much was his Star Wars opus because the movie starts with Chapter 4.
He made Donnie Darko the director's cut in 2004. But
so did you say it doesn't measure up, Murphy?
No, it doesn't measure up. Compared to other movies and stuff of current time, no, it doesn't measure up. But it does hold up in the sense that it is a satirical,
we agree this movie
comedy.
Is a C movie. This is a C movie.
No, it's a
B
movie.
Category called F. And just throw it in there.
No, it's not a C movie. It's a B movie because I said it holds up. I said it holds up. I said it doesn't measure up. It does.
But it didn't. I just asked you. No.
Can we go B minus?
Is our category for the last one. Yeah.
All
we
right.
don't ask if it holds up for the last question.
Well, you asked if it held up.
To have come before it.
Well,
I know that. Then I corrected myself. We have a lag here.
Okay, all right. If it doesn't measure up to the films that we watched,
not tonight even, but
I think it's
does it measure up to spoofs. You tried to relate this movie to Airplane, that's insane. If you think this movie measures up to Airplane, then fine, pick measure up. But it's not funny. Airplane's funny.
But what? This is a satire of what?
Of Los Angeles. It is a satiric commentary on the.
No! Don't read off the internet. What do you, Chris Murphy, in your own brain, think this movie is? Put the computer away.
All right, it's a satire of military complex industrials and the general
no, that's what Dr. Strange
entertainment.
Maybe this is trying. Maybe this is trying to imitate Dr. Strangelove. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was Dr. Strangelove was one of its influences. Like, there's all these other movies.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I'm telling you, it's a satire of these movies. It's a satire. It's supposed to be a satire of like pop culture. It's a satire of the military-industrial complex. It's a satire of the politics that are played behind the scenes. It's a satire on the living conditions of Los Angeles and general American populace in general. It's a satire on the effects of psychological damage that is held upon soldiers of war, because there was that subline between Justin Timberlake and Seann William Scott's character. There was a friendly fire situation that fucked up Justin Timberlake and Seann William Scott, and it was like a whole thing. It wasn't explored by any means, but it was a subcontext. These are satires within the film. Yeah. If you paid more attention, you would have seen these tapestry weaved. That's why I'm saying this film is actually far more brilliant than anybody probably gives it credit for. On surface, it is a garbage film. On first glance, I remember being confused, not understanding it, and only remembering few scenes. But rewatching this film, I was like, wow, this is actually really good on many levels. And it was entertaining.
So you think it's a satire of satire? You think it's a satire of a satire? Doctor Strangelove is already a satire. No. So you think it's a satire of a satire. So you take a funny satire, Doctor Strangelove, and to satire a satire, you have to make it unfunny, I guess? Like that's what a secondary satire is?
No, it's more, it's not a satire of Doctor Strangelove. It's no. It's not no. Like, you get it wrong. It's not a satire of Doctor Strangelove. It was inspired by Doctor Strangelove. It is a satire on American culture in the year of 2005.
No, but not cleverly done. Like it's seriously. It's like you. I keep saying a 12-year-old, but it's like
it was cleverly done. I think you went into it with a bias, and you're like, this is going to be the worst film ever, and you didn't actually.
And I don't
feel like you really watched it. You didn't really watch the film.
I tried. It was a long ass movie, and I sat there.
Yeah, it was.
But there's like
I watched the
anything.
longer version, and it went by. Well, we'll leave it.
So you say it does measure
up. Yeah.
All right, let's do our rankings and get out of here. For me, I'm ranking Logan Runs at the top.
Yeah.
And then Gattaca, I guess. And this other thing.
You have to. So you have to go second.
Well, it's third, I guess.
I'll straight up make your brain explode. Southland's Tales is the best movie of the three. Southland's Tales, Logan Run, then Gattaca. That's how it goes for me. Southland's Tales was entertaining and fun.
It goes in this order. It's Gattaca, Logan's Run, and then Southland Tales.
We all just had a different order. That's interesting.
We have a different order, yeah. All with the movie we brought as our top pick. As well. So
yeah, we're all egoists here. Egoist is the guy who made that friggin' movie. But
Logan's Run was
our coming
yeah.
Well, I'll throw these up.
Okay. You're breaking up there.
The coming attract. Matt, and
Davan, you're breaking up, brother. Can't hear you.
Those are our movies today.
Didn't get any of that.
All right, take her away.
Yeah, I think you got to.
All right, so I think we're wrapping it up. We're going to be going on to our coming attractions here. You can obviously, I don't know, Dave, if you've got the access to click up the shows that we do on the United Federation podcast.
Sure.
I do. I got that. Hold up.
Yeah.
That's us. We got
X-rated X-Men animated review podcast
coming up Andre.
with Davan and Andre. They talk about all things X-Men 90s animated show. What's the next episode, Davan?
Orphan Den. We just interviewed Brooks Wachtel. Go check out that interview. It's really fun. He's a very cool and interesting guy. And then we've got the United Federation of Trek podcasts here. the Live Long podcast, if you will.
Yeah.
With their very own Dave Mader.
Going on all the time with a great crew.
Dave, especially Dave Mader's Yeah, lots of reviews there from the command side. They do the shows, recaps, and they do a fine job of it too. And then we have Ludicutors of Trek, where we talk about other things to do
Star Trek related.
That isn't really the episodes. So we just do debates and trivias and deep dives on issues and that stuff, like Class L probes, for example. I'll check out the Graphic Histories podcast. That's coming back on the 18th this month with John Russo, co-creator of The Night of the Living Dead, one of the great six. Super Mater Brothers, what are you doing over there?
Well, tonight, Jeff and Jaemeel and Josh Foster are talking about the newest episode of Survivor, season 43. I think we're on to episode 7 or 8 now. They're into the merge phase, and they're on right now. They're simulcasting with us at this very moment over on the Super Mater Brothers channel. So check that out. Plus, our other coverage of reality TV shows like Big Brother and some other things we've done in the past too, like Marvel projects and Westworld before that got canceled. Anyway, so check out the Super Mater Brothers podcasting.
Groovy. And does that all?
To answer this question earlier, Sam was inquiring about an upcoming Simpsons cast. Confirm that KBBBL podcast, the extra B is for BYOBB, does indeed start on Friday.
Okay, you gotta explain the BB to me now that we're talking about it, because you're like, bring your own beer or bring your own. But beer
in the Simpsons KBBL radio. So we're KBBBL podcast, because then we layer another Simpsons reference onto that, which is the extra B is for BYOBB. And in the Simpsons show, that extra B is a typo. But in our show,
your extra B is a typo
every episode.
Because I was like, is this different in Nova Scotia?
It's something different every episode.
BB? Is this a different term? Right now,
Simpsons heads will know. Biggest wave coming attraction. Yo,
all right.
Yeah,
that's it for us. We're gonna call it. We're gonna leave it here. Thanks for watching us here at Hold Up, the movie podcast talking about Dystopia.
Sorry about the lag,
which is technology gremlins. It is what it is. But these things are going to get more polished. The Dave Mater, thank you so much for dropping in and being a special guest star on this episode. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
We did drop a good half hour off the runtime.
Yeah, no, we did. We're getting there. I think we've got a fine ship sailing at this moment. So we're gonna wrap up with coming attractions for the next episode, and then that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. So have yourselves a great night and enjoy the movies.